We can explore Boolean values by creating a new application in Visual C# where we can declare variables of type bool. Each time we declare a variable, we give it the type or the keyword var, followed by the name of the variable, and we assign to that variable a value. Since this is a Boolean value, the expression that we assign to it must evaluate to true or false. In this case, we're testing the equality of 3 plus 2 with the value 5. Notice that the assignment is a single equal sign, but the test for equality is a double equal sign, equal equal. So we say 3 plus 2 equal 5, which will evaluate true. And we can display that using WriteLine. We simply put our Boolean value in, and let's run the application, and it says true. So the value of my first Boolean is true, which makes sense. Let's create a second Boolean value. This one states that 3 plus 2 is greater than 5, manifestly false, and we can prove that by printing it out, or more accurately displaying it to the console. And now we get true and false. This will allow us to play with some of the Boolean operators. Here we are using the double ampersand, which is the AND value, and the AND value only returns true if both expressions are true. We're assigning the result to the Boolean both are true. But in this case, the Boolean both are true will return false, because the second expression, my second Boolean, is false. And as I said, the double ampersand only returns true if they're both true. Here in the WriteLine, I've added a string, both are true evaluates, and then the both are true Boolean. I'm not going to bother adding to string because WriteLine will do that for me. And when I hit Control F5, I see true and false for the first two values, and then both are true evaluates false, as we expect. In this next example, we set 1 is true equal to my first Boolean or my second Boolean. Or will evaluate if either expression is true. I've modified WriteLine to use a substitution argument. Substitution arguments are placed in curly braces and numbered sequentially from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. The way this works is we put the substitution parameter right in line inside the double quoted string, follow it with a comma, and whatever is going to be substituted into the first argument comes first, and if there were a second argument, it would be comma and the second argument. So what's going to happen is this value 1 is true will substitute for this substitution argument. And we'll end up with 1 is true evaluates whatever the value of 1 is true is, because one expression is true. And we expect that to say true because we're using an or here. 1 is true evaluates true because one expression is true. So the difference between and or is and requires both sides to be true, or requires either side to be true. It's important to know that both of these arguments short circuit, and that means they evaluate the first argument, and if that's enough to satisfy, they don't bother with the second. For example, and requires that both sides be true. If the first argument is false, it never bothers to evaluate the second, because they must both be true. Similarly, or requires that either side be true. So when it hits my first Boolean, which is true, it doesn't bother with evaluating my second Boolean, because as long as one is true, the expression is true. That short circuiting can come in very handy. The third operator that's of interest is the not operator. Here we have set a new Boolean, reverse my first Boolean, equal to not my first Boolean. That is bang or exclamation mark for not my first Boolean. In the console write line, we're going to use two substitution parameters. My first Boolean is substitution parameter 1, which is actually numbered 0. But reverse my first Boolean is substitution parameter, and the second one, which is numbered 1. Remember, we count from 0, and we count from 0 throughout C#. We then put in the arguments my first Boolean and reverse my first Boolean. Let's look at the results by running the program. My first Boolean is true, but reverse my first Boolean is false. In the next section, we'll see how these Boolean values are put to use.